Welcome to Witness Horizon. The headlines of this release include a great new coordinated look and feel that aligns your 2D and 3D workflows like never before. New toolbar buttons, tree icons and designer element sets give a fresh boost, and the new floating toolbar means faster modelling too, with common changes more easily to hand. Witness has always been a byword for fast modelling, but it's just sped up. Improved rendering of graphics shows in the new anti-aliased path displays for conveyors, tracks, paths, power-free sections and buffers. And this release offers more in the ways of graphical manipulation too. Create impressive animations with the new rotation and movement of graphical items in 2 and 3D. For those customers who use the continuous elements in Witness, tanks, processors, pipes and fluids, this release is a watershed. With a range of additional precision, new rules and new displays offering easier, better modelling. The general new look and feel of Witness includes a range of new coordinated 2 and 3D icons. Both the Manufacturing Edition and the Service Edition feature new packs of elements on a new Designer tab. These can be used to create 2D displays that turn, at the touch of the new Quick 3D button, into high-quality 3D models. Our 3D offerings continue to be underpinned by the best. The integrated 3D views and the optional immersive 3D platforms being powered by Vitalis into the latest headsets and power walls. Witness Horizon is built for speed and quality of presentation. Let's have a look at the release in more detail. This is in the Manufacturing Edition of Witness. There is also the Service Edition, which we'll have a look at a little bit later. On the Start page, you have access to a lot of information. For example, all the recent models that you've used for easy access to those. You have a Getting Started section. When you click on that, it takes you through to the 2 Learning Witness books, all of which have been redone for this release. Essential reading if you're going to start using Witness for the first time. We've also put in this section now the Witness Horizon release notes. So if you're interested in learning in even more detail than this session gives you, then please have a look at those release notes there. Then there's a link to some new video tutorials to take people through in detail how to begin using Witness. Then a link to sample models in Witness. Every single model has been updated for this release. So there are a lot of models in here. We'll have a look at a few a little bit later, but a lot of these models have been updated to illustrate the new features and the new graphics, especially in Witness Horizon. A new quick reference guide with all the new functions and updated toolbar buttons and the like, and then a range of other access to other information, including the Witness Support portal. We have a new toolbar button, which is the left one here, that this will show or hide the Start page. So let's close the Start page, and of course you'll notice that in Witness Horizon we have a complete new range of toolbar buttons. Don't be worried if you don't immediately recognise all your old favourites. The materials we have will take you through buttons, but if you hover over each one, it tells you in detail what they do. Most of them are old favourites. There are some which have been altered and amended. For example, the alignment buttons are now on a drop down, which means they take up less real estate on the toolbar interface. There are some new buttons too. So we have the Start page one. We have a new 3D designed button here for access to the quick 3D view. And we have now a drop down for access to the Witness Experimenter, which will take you either through into simple experiment mode, which is line by line experimentation, or into advanced experiment mode, which lets you define ranges of parameters to change objectives, and that takes you into the world of optimization. In addition to the toolbars, which have been rationalised somewhat so as to provide a more comfortable experience, especially for a new user of Witness, not to be daunted by quite so many toolbar buttons anymore. Everything else has been redesigned, so all the tree views have new look and feel to them, with each element having a different a new icon, and that's coordinated through now much better into the designer element sets. So we have also a rationalized group of designer element sets, and extended in some ways as well. So we have our basic tab, which has the parts, buffers, machines and labour on it. Transport tab very much as before, with conveyors, paths, vehicles, tracks and the power and free elements on it. The data tab now contains a lot more in it. I'm zooming the data tab here just to show you all the elements. That's easily done, by the way, just by holding down the control key and using the middle mouse wheel just to zoom as is fit for the different designer palettes. But here you'll see we have all the variables in Witness that you can define. The user-defined distributions, functions, attributes are on this tab now. Shifts have come through onto this tab, modules and flat file access in read-write files and part files. On our new continuous tab, we have a newly refreshed look for liquids, tanks, fluids, processors and pipes. We have a report tab which has the basic 4 report elements, the 3 dynamic reports of time series, histograms and pie charts, and the extensive and flexible general report element that lets you create the type of graph or table that you want to see. Then we have a brand new manufacturing tab, which has a range of newly developed 2D and 3D icons for a range of machines. There is also a tab for the service version of Witness, which is Service Pack 1, and I'll show that a little bit later. But when you drag one of these elements onto the screen, you get the 2D element for it. Let's drag in a whole load of different ones here, and let's just then see how that passes through into the 3D display. So we'll bring lathe 3 in, bring one of the presses in, etc. These are all scaled to suit the scaling, which is the general scaling in Witness, which is a distance of 5 meters for one of the large squares here. We say 5 meters, but we actually term it units, so that if you wanted to work in other units, then it's entirely up to you. You can redefine the scaling on the Model, Options, Coordinates tab. Let's use the new 3D button then and create a new 3D view, and you'll see that exactly the 2D layout that you have has been faithfully reproduced in 3D, and I'm flying around that just to let you see how easy it is to navigate around that 3D view using the standard commands. We make a lot of use of transparencies in the new Witness elements, so that you can easily see the different parts being processed in a lot of the different machines. Some of them we've left open like this, again to ease that view. I'll just turn the shadows off. That's an optional item in Witness. It's all extensible, so you can add your own 2D icons and add your own 3D shapes, but we've given you a much better start in that area with this new coordinated library. Here's the service version of Witness as promised. You can see some of the new elements in the service pack here, a lot of health elements, elevators, escalators and the like. Servers, phones, laptops and various desks. And here is a model that is the new tutorial in the Learning Witness book 1 for the service edition, where a little clinic is a model that you build from scratch yourself, following the instructions. And this uses the new graphics for the people, some of the beds and the reception desk here. And if we take that through into the 3 dimensions, then we can see that we end up here with a very nice layout of people entering the clinic via the reception desk and being tended to on the beds here by the doctors in the various cubicle areas here. This model also illustrates the fact that you can extrude the lines in Witness to create these nice wall effects. Very easy to do, and very effective in making the models look really, really good. Let's return to the manufacturing edition of the software and look at the exciting new Witness floating toolbar. When you instantiate an element into Witness, above that element on the modelling window is shown the floating toolbar. This gives you access to a number of common properties and fields of that element that you can edit. Here I'm changing the name of the element to P1, I'm hitting return, and that change has been effected on the element backdrop here. If I right click on the icon here, I can use the icon selector to change and pick a different icon for that element. Here I'm picking the red icon for the part. And of course this works with other elements too. So if we bring the machine in here, for example, the floating toolbar appears, and I can change the quantity of that machine to 5. I can drop into the common properties here, and I can change the cycle time to 3.0. I'm going to just click away somewhere else on another field to write it away, and then I can click away and that change will have been effected. If we look inside the detail dialog, we can see that the cycle time is 3.0. That change has been made. It also works with the elements in the various packs. And if, for example, we want 4 lathes, it's as simple as that. It works with buffers too. If we bring a buffer in, then we could set the capacity of the buffer in this way. Click elsewhere, click away to set, and then we can see that the capacity has indeed been changed of that buffer to 22. So nice and simple, a real productivity aid, giving you the ability to change some of those common properties, firstly when they're instantiated, and secondly whenever you right click on an element and bring up its right mouse menu. The floating toolbar reappears and gives you access to these common properties. Let's also make sure we look at the new part scaling in Witness, which is the default setting now. When I drop a part from the designer elements and I double click on that part, we'll see in actions on create we have length, width and height set. Now those are automatically used to generate the size of the part as it will be seen in the model displays. Now I'm going to just add an extra line here. I'm going to change the icon to BI uniform 1.5 plus 130, and that means I'm going to get different coloured bricks coming in to the model. And then I'm just going to add a standard buffer, and I'm going to route into the buffer using the little visual output rule button here. And then of course it's going to prompt me as I step the model for how often do the parts arrive. So there's our first part arrived, a purple icon, etc. And the different coloured icons are being instantiated into the model. So this is how the new icons look for parts, the default part, when they come into a model. But be careful if you change the part icon and it really is a different size, then you need to change the part size in the actions on create here for the length, width and height. Height of course being used in 3D for the element. Let's look at a couple of the sample models in the manufacturing version. The first one I'll open is Assembly Horizon, and this is a good demonstration model for the new look and feel in general of the new release. And if we set it running, you'll see power and free elements arriving to a station where the parts are loaded coming along from 2 workstations. People are moving along a little path network here between their workstations, and when the load station needs some attention due to it being broken down. The transport around the model on the power and free sections moves it from here to this other conveyor where things move out of the model. If we do a quick 3D of this model, We can see again we've used extrusions for the different walls, and let's set it running. And here we see the walking men moving along the path displays, and maybe we need to just slow that down a little bit to see the power and free carriers come along, pick up a part, move up and over the partition area here above some other machines, and then we can see them being put down onto the second conveyor here. So this is a model you can look at in detail to see how it's set up, how the extrusions are done on different layers in Witness. We have the option for shadows on, shadows off, and whatever, and wireframe in the 3D view, as standard, as was in Witness 14. But the crisper, better appearance of the 3D machines and graphics, we think means that Witness Horizon is a step up in terms of the 3D appearance and performance. Let's have another look at another model here from the Manufacturing Sample Models directory. Here's one of the process cell models that we have in Witness, where people follow work around a process cell, working on it at each workstation. Let's stop the model and do a quick 3D view of this. And here we see the upgraded version of this display with the people walking around from station to station doing the essential work that's required. Let's take a look at a new model called Pipeline Horizon. This helps explain and show the new look and feel and the new options available for the fluids changes in Witness Horizon. There are many improvements in calculation in Witness Horizon. The release notes give a link to the Wikipedia reference for Kahan summation. This is an algorithm that we've implemented in Witness Horizon that adds up lots of remainders in calculations and reapplies them at the point where they accumulate to a certain extent. Added to that, we have higher resolution of a lot of different numbers. For example, before and after the decimal point is represented as two values in many calculations rather than a single value. This gives us higher precision, especially where there's high flow rates and where there's small quantities of fluids left in tanks. Time also is calculated as and stored as two numbers, the value before and after the decimal point, and improvements in the numerical comparison operators using a scaled epsilon when comparing numbers for equality. Those techniques ensure greater stability as well as precision when representing fluids. Now we also have a number of display improvements, some of which are on show on your screen here. You now have a lot of control over fonts and decimal places shown for different values. For example, the tank calibrations here or the pipe flow rate here we can show with no decimal points because the value is in the thousands, so we don't want to see decimal points at for that kind of value. There are new rules and options available in the fluids area as well. For example, the output rule for this pipe is a connect rule, which connects a certain liquid type, a certain fluid type to a certain output and another fluid type to another output. That easy splitting of fluids into different tanks is something that was more difficult before. And also you can now flow out of a tank where there is a mixture in the tank. You can flow out a certain liquid out of that mixture, which helps modelling, for example, separations. So for instance, oil and water, where you let things settle for a while and then you may draw off the lower or the upper layer from that tank. So there's new rules, that new connect rule and flow rule, being able to specify fluids for part of the flow is something that is new and very powerful in the new Witness release. We also have the option in Witness Horizon to interrupt parts filling with fluids. This is the interface between the discrete and continuous worlds. For example here, if I double click on weather, then we can look in the actions on start of bad weather, and here we're looking to see whether a ship is above 80% of the fill that it was going to get when the bad weather starts, which interrupts the filling. And we actually use a new function, interrupt filling part, to stop that filling and send the ship on its way if it's more than 80% full. So new functions to interrupt the filling or emptying of parts. Now let's take a look at some of the exciting new animation possibilities in Witness Horizon. In this model, we rotate the robot icon as the machine is cycling, as the robot machine A is cycling. How is that affected? Well, let's go into the detail for the robot, and on the cycle here, in actions on start, we're looking to see where the machine icon is situated. This is machine A icon is the 1, and then 1 is the number 1 icon, getting the X and Y position of that. And then we're leaving it where it is with the move posin command, but we're rotating it by 180 degrees over 10 time units, which will be set equal to the cycle time, and we're updating the animation every 0.1 time units. And then the return for the robot is just done in the actions on our output here, where we're rotating it by another 180 degrees to return it to its loading position while it's not actually loaded with a part. We could change that second action to be a minus 180 degrees, in which case then the robots will return back using the anti-clockwise motion for the return movement. Now in a different model, in Storage Horizon, not one of the sample models, but this will be available via the portal soon, we see a 3D view of a model. And if we start the model, we can see that the cranes here are lifting and placing items in storage in the tank area here. Now these are machines that are moving, so these are crane machines, and of course we can run these at a variety of different speeds for the movements. This model actually also makes use of another function which is called slow motion setting. And that tells you the position of the slow motion slider bar that I'm showing with the cursor here, and will return a number based on where that position is, such that if you want to run the model more quickly, then you can put in a higher figure in the update interval for the movement. Let's look in the tree here on the cranes, and let's look at where that movement is done. So the movement for the crane here is done in 7 different cycles on the multi-cycle machine. And if we go into the action here, we're just doing this movement in 3D, and we're finding out what the identity of the geometry linked in 3D is for the icon of the crane, and we're doing a W3D move position function to change the position of that to a new XYZ point over 2 time units, and how this is the calculation for how often we're going to update that animation in update interval. If we go back to the tree, we can look at update interval, and you'll see that's using this new slow motion setting. I'm actually squaring the value of that. So if that's set, it returns a value between 1 and 10, 1 being the slowest setting. So that will return either 0.01 right up to 0.01 multiplied by 100, which would return a value of 1. So quite a significant difference in how often the values here are being updated. Witness Horizon. Fast, productive modelling that looks great too. I hope you've enjoyed this introduction and are inspired to explore and see what it can do for you. Thank you for watching.